Yo! If you clicked on this video, there's a high chance that you want to learn OLL. However, you've probably browsed through all the OLL algorithms by now and thought to yourself, 57 algorithms! You don't know where to begin, there's no logical order whatsoever, and it is just too much. But what if I tell you that it is actually way easier than you might think? With the logical approach and the right routine, it's actually really easy to learn full OLL in 1 month. Assuming you practice about an hour a day, but you can do that, right? In this video, I will explain exactly how you can do that. I'll talk about the order you want to learn OLL, how you should learn the algs, and how you can schedule all of this easily within a month. But before we dive into the video, let's first ask yourself the crucial question. Should you? Should you learn full OLL within a month? And the answer is no. You don't need to. 2-look OLL can already be really fast, and learning all the OLL algorithms shouldn't be your main focus when you start cubing. However, if your aim is to learn full OLL one day, it's actually better to be done with it quickly, and I'll tell you why.
One of the key aspects of getting fast at cubing is creating a reflex, where you see a case and do the algorithm immediately, without really having to think about it. We call this muscle memory, and you only get to this stage with a lot of practice. Literally doing an algorithm thousands of times. But the thing you need to know about this is the stronger this muscle becomes, the harder it becomes to unlearn this reflex. So if we apply this to 2-look OLL, if you trained your brain to automatically do a case using 2-look OLL, you probably will get really fast at it. The problem is that once you finally want to learn an alg for the specific case, it will take longer to get used to the new alg, since your reflexes still want to do 2-look OLL. That's why a lot of people postpone learning full OLL, because the longer you wait to learn algs, the more difficult it will become. So guys, the earlier you learn OLL, the easier it will be to get used to it.
So decide, do you want to be fast one day? And do you want to put in the work right now? Then aight, let's get started.
And the first thing we're going to do is clean up this mess of cases in logical groups. If you follow the numbering of the OLLs, you'll find out that the order doesn't make any sense at all. It's like the guy who numbered the OLLs was drunk when he did. Instead, we need to find a way to group all the cases. And the way we will group them is by their pattern. And if we do that, we get this. I would advise you to get used to these groups, because a lot of people use them and it's really handy.
And there's a good reason to why we want to group these by pattern. First of all, you will get a way better overview of what cases exist. This makes OLL look way less intimidating. You'll also notice that a lot of algorithms in the same group are really similar. In fact, a lot of cases are the exact mirror of each other.
Mirrored cases are exactly that. Mirrored. And we'll find that the algs of mirrored cases are usually really similar. We could just mirror the alg from righty moves to lefty moves, but since most people are right hand dominant and your left hand is mostly there to hold the cube in a stable position, we usually avoid doing this. Notice how my left thumb stays in position when I spam TPS on this cube. What you will see a lot instead is algs that are mirrored in this way, where R becomes R prime and U becomes U prime. For example, these cases. Another thing you will notice is that some algs can be rewritten in easier to understand combinations. In fact, a whole lot of cases are just a combination of F moves with sexy moves. Some cases are just 2 algs combined, or the combination of simple triggers like sexy move and sledgehammer. And a lot of cases will be just a slight alteration of an alg you may already know.
Now, I'm not going to go over all the algorithms. I will share a PDF with you with all the OLLs divided in groups in an order that makes sense to learn. And I also wrote down some notes for each individual case with some general tips, so you might appreciate that. Now, you don't need to use this PDF, but just give it a look, maybe you will really like it. So now that you hopefully have a better sense of all the OLL algorithms that exist, and understand that a lot of them are related in some way, the next thing you need to know is that it is better to learn OLL group by group instead of alg by alg. To explain why that is, we're going to the next point, which is actually learning the algorithms.
Now, if you want to learn an OLL case, you want to practice 2 things. First, the alg with finger tricks, and secondly, recalling the alg when you see the case. Most people just focus on the algorithm. You would just spam the alg you want to learn over and over again. And then once you're fast at doing that, you would just tell yourself, I got this. But you're just fooling yourself, because once you actually get the case you just learned in a solve, you suddenly take way too long to recognize the case and recalling the alg. That's because you haven't developed the link between seeing the case and doing the algorithm. Remember the reflex I talked about earlier on? What you want to achieve is perfect muscle memory, where you would see the case and do the algorithm as if it was a reflex.
But the only way you can practice to get to that point is by getting the alg out of your working memory, in other words getting the alg out of your head, and trying to recall the alg when you see it. Now what you could do is just practice this every time you get the case in a solve. But then you would only get a specific case in about 1 out of 50 solves. And trust me, that's not enough. You will forget the alg all the time and it will take ages. Been there, done that, and it ain't no fun. So what are we going to do instead? Well, we're going to use an online alg trainer.
On this side, you can select cases you want to practice, and it will give scrambles to the cases you just selected in random order. This is ideal to practice your recognition and recall. The alg trainer I like to use is called Best Site Ever. Link in description. The great thing about this one is that it already groups the algs and it's really easy to use. Now it's important to note that you only use alg trainers once you already know the algs you want to practice. So for example, let's say we're training the L-shaped cases. What you want to do first is learn each alg of the group individually, until you're pretty comfortable doing the algorithms. And then you would select the cases on your alg trainer. Bloop! It's that easy really. And then you can start practicing on the alg trainer.
So now that we know to learn the algorithms in groups, the order in which to learn these groups, and how to learn them, all that's left to do now is put them in a schedule. Now I thought of this system that works in blocks of 3 days, which I think works really well. Let me explain how it works.
We're going to learn between 4 and 6 algorithms each 3 days. I think that's the perfect amount to learn at a time. Not too few so they stay in your working memory, and not too many so it gets too difficult to memorize them. The first day, you will learn all the algorithms of the group. This is the day where you would just spam the algs over and over again for each case. And then the next 2 days, you will use the alg trainer tool to practice the recall for those cases. If you do this for about an hour a day, 3 days should be more than enough to learn between 4 and 6 algorithms. So day 1, learning the algs. And the next 2 days, getting used to recall and recognition using the online trainer tool. You do that twice a week, and then on the last day of the week, you will practice all the algs you know using the trainer tool again. So that day you select all the algs you already know and basically make sure that you still know all of them. Now if we apply the system over the course of 4 weeks, we can fit in all the OLL algorithms, so that on the last day of the 4th week, you will know full OLL. Woohoo! I haven't included the oriented edges cases in the calendar, because I assume that when you're planning to learn full OLL, you already know 2-look OLL, right? Now you also may have noticed that I put all the dot cases in one group, but since a month is just over 28 days, you can also choose to separate them in 2 groups if you want to. If you don't like this order or you want to change something a bit, feel free to change it. This calendar is also in the PDF I shared with you, so make sure to give it a look, link in the description.
So I wish you good luck learning all the algorithms. I know you can do it. And don't forget to let me know if you succeeded as well. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a like. And if you want to see more of me, just subscribe. And I guess I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.